welcome to Canadian Freedom, right? It's been a few days. I've been off down in Toronto for one of my son's hockey tournaments. Sorry, I've been away. I haven't been doing much video, but luckily this time of year there isn't too much to talk about with all the politicians on their extended holidays. But there's a few things I'd like to talk about. This one's going to be this week on Irritating Libs. And this week, the only irritating person I can think of is the boss man himself, Justin Trudeau.
Housing isn't a primary federal responsibility.
Really?
For Canadians, from building more homes faster.
You know, every time I see that clip back from, I don't know, summertime, beginning of summer, when Trudeau and the Liberals were saying housing's not really a federal matter or their responsibility, and how they've completely flip-flopped because it's such a big issue that they're doing so much with their housing accelerator and their mortgage tribunal BS thing where you can get 90-year mortgages. I don't even, it's just ridiculous. This guy takes the cake this week for irritating liberals because I can't stand watching him. And I won't put you through too much, okay? We're going to watch a short bit of his interviews because, again, I can't watch the whole thing. Like, my computer would cost too much, and I just don't want to punch it watching him because that's all I want to do. So, anyway, let's get into the interview here on Global News. Year-end interview on Global News.
Foreign policy challenges that he had to contend with. I sat down with the Prime Minister a week before Christmas. Here's our conversation. Prime Minister, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
It's always a pleasure, Mercedes.
It is Christmas time, and it's a tough time for a lot of people this time of year, and I imagine maybe a bit of a tough time for you. You've had a tough year, politically, personally.
It's not a tough time for him like it is for a large chunk of Canadians there, Mercedes. Besides the fact that, 70% of the country or more want him gone. And most of the world thinks he's a complete moron. But we'll continue.
How are you doing?
But that's the question we're always asking each other. Right now, times are tough for everyone, and that's why really we see the best of Canadians coming forward at this moment as people continue to roll up their sleeves and lean in for each other, even while everything is challenging. And yeah, I think this is a moment at the holidays when everyone's going to be pulling together and
God forbid he were to say Christmas. We know how much he loves Christmas. Look at that face.
reflecting on hopefully a much better year in 2024.
Your polls would indicate
not
that
with you
you're
at
not
charge there,
heading
bud.
for a better year. 7 out of 10 Canadians want you to step down. There was a recent poll saying that Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney were both more popular choices than you to lead the Liberal Party. Why do you think Canadians...
That's crazy. Like, who did they ask that Chrystia Freeland would be better than him? Like, the caucus? That was who they polled? I mean, oh, she's as bad or worse. Let me be clear. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Oh, God. Worst government in history. Let's continue.
are so frustrated with you?
Well, I think first of all, it's a really frustrating time, full stop. There's so much going on around the world. There's so many...
No, full stop. That's it. You've made everything this way. You and your government and your policies and the way you've managed Canada has made it this way. And you know he's going to start going on. It's a global thing. It's a global inflation. The war in Ukraine. Again, I'll say, when Harper was in charge, we had 4 wars. A subprime mortgage collapse in the United States. We stayed pretty level. So you can't blame world events. There is the same thing going in other countries, and generally it's far leftist socialist countries who have blown through money and created money the same way he has. The same way the WEF has led their little minions in all those countries.
Much impacting us here at home. There's so many challenges people are facing in their daily lives, from groceries to rent, that there's a lot of frustration, but we have been working incredibly hard to deliver for Canadians in really concrete ways. And to my mind, this is exactly not the time to be slowing down or to stop fighting for people.
Yeah, slowing down. He wants to continue the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, WEF. He wants to continue printing and spending, and he's like, what did my dad do? I'll do the same thing, but even crazier, even worse. I don't know how he still has supporters. Like, I know that pool has shrunken. When people actually pay attention to what he's done, the scandals, the corruption, I mean, I think before people were always like, handsome guy, he talks so nice. But his kindergarten fake teacher act, people are seeing through it. They're paying attention. There's too many news stories now about corruption and the kind of authoritarianism that they're doing with the censorship of the internet and that whole trucker convoy and just basically it's what they say goes. If you don't agree, you are a nut job, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're a bigot, whatever. People aren't buying that. Even people some people, center left are saying, whoa, you can't just label anybody that way. So let's see how much more we can handle.
We have been focused on delivering for Canadians for 8 years now, and the context we're in right now, where progress has become so fragile because of global and large macro
Here we
events,
go. Global events.
is the time to be doubling down and rolling up our
Doubling
sleeves. That's
down.
what I'm here for.
And I understand wanting to advance that agenda, and that it's hard to let go of being in power once you're in. But historically, Canadian
Exactly.
prime ministers don't get elected
She
four times.
just said it. That's what he wants. He just wants to stay in power. They have lost all control. I don't even think they control members in their own government. I think Stephen Guilbeault, he is doing what he wants, unchecked. Like, I'm going to do this, and that's just the way it is. Mark Fraser in the housing thing, Trudeau says, what are you doing? I'm doing this. Oh, okay. I just think he's lost control. Whether he even had any control, it's just, it's out of control on all levels. And I think there's enough uproar, or what's the word? Enough people paying attention now in Canada to say, enough's enough. We can't go till fall 2025 for an election. We need change, and we need it sooner than later. And if I were a bet man, I would think this spring, fall the latest, when support for this government, because the other parties, they're going to be pressured by anything left in their base to not support this guy. So I would think spring.
In a row, and people are being very clear that they don't like you in these polls.
People are frustrated right now, but on a personal level, I made a commitment in 2015 to a whole bunch of young people who came out to vote for the very, very first time that we were going to be doing the right kinds of things to secure the promise of this country.
No, I think young people did show up probably for him, but they see through it now. They're starting to pay attention, and common sense messaging it is getting through. And there will always be those crazy socialist young people, college, university students, who will never vote for Pierre, but maybe they'll go green or help split the vote somewhere else. But times are changing, and this government is changing, and I hope he's relegated down to nothing. Kind of like when Ignatieff ran, and it was historical lows, and I think if I remember correctly, NDP was the official opposition to Harper then. Something tells me we'll be in the same boat. But then again, with this whole UBI talk, which we'll get into in the next video, you never know. They're going to try to buy votes, and there's a lot of stupid people out there who will actually believe what this guy says, and will maybe buy into his fake messaging. If they're not smart enough to see through it after 8 years, God help you. Anyway, that's it for this week on Annoying Lib, we'll call it. The man himself, Justin Trudeau. Like, subscribe, share. Again, I'm the little guy. The YouTube algorithms don't like me based on what I think the Liberal government's put in place with YouTube. Call it a hunch. So do what you can to help me. Thanks very much for joining me. Take care.